In the early 1990s, Fox Hollow Farm looked like the perfect retreat, a 15-acre estate nestled in Westfield, Indiana. Herb Baumeister, a successful businessman, moved in with his wife and children. From the outside, it was the American dream. But deep beneath the surface of this suburban paradise, something horrifying was brewing, something that would stain the soil forever. Herb Baumeister was known in town as odd but harmless, the quirky owner of a thrift store chain. But behind closed doors, his behavior grew erratic. He was withdrawn, obsessed with control, and kept parts of the estate off limits, even to his wife. Late at night, he roamed the woods alone. What was he doing out there in the dark? No one asked, until it was too late. Around Indianapolis, gay men began to vanish, quietly, without trace. Many had last been seen at local bars before disappearing forever. Families searched. Flyers were posted. But police had no leads, until a pattern emerged. The victims were similar in age and build, and they were all last seen in the company of a man driving a red vehicle. A man who seemed to vanish just as easily. Detective Virgil Van Dagriff, a retired sheriff turned private investigator, began noticing the connection between the disappearances. One survivor, a man named Tony, came forward with a terrifying story. He'd met a man who took him back to a secluded home, tried to strangle him during an encounter, then let him go without explanation. Tony was lucky. Others weren't. Tony's description was chillingly specific: a tall, wiry man in his 40s who drove a red SUV and invited him to a secluded mansion with an indoor pool. It matched other accounts detectives had quietly collected. The man's charm masked something twisted. And now, investigators had their first real clue: a predator hiding in plain sight with access to isolated property, and complete privacy. Tony recalled being led through a lavish but oddly cold home, Fox Hollow Farm. The walls were bare, the lights dim, and the atmosphere suffocating. Herb gave a tour, but his behavior became more erratic with each room. When they reached the indoor pool, Tony felt it, a sudden shift. Something was wrong. Something was watching. Then, Herb's demeanor changed, and the terror began. Tony's voice cracked as he described what happened next. Herb suggested a trust game, placing a garden hose around Tony's neck. Laughing nervously, Tony agreed, until Herb pulled it tight. Panic set in. He fought back, breaking free just in time. The moment haunts him to this day. His escape wasn't just luck, it was a warning. One that police could no longer ignore. Julie Baumeister had long ignored her husband's erratic behavior, the late nights, the locked rooms, the secrecy. But now, she couldn't shake her unease. Herb avoided intimacy, kept to himself, and was growing colder. She remembered strange smells from the backyard and stories he brushed off with nervous laughter. The man she married was becoming a stranger, and something inside her whispered, "You need to leave." Julie couldn't ignore it any longer. Behind the estate, where the woods thickened, she discovered scattered bones, small, charred, brittle. Herb claimed they were from a deer he had buried long ago. But she remembered, they'd never hunted. The smell, the shape, it didn't feel like animal remains. Fear gripped her. The soil beneath Fox Hollow Farm was hiding something human. Terrified and desperate, Julie finally went to the police. She agreed to let them search the property, but only when Herb was away on a trip. Investigators had one chance to uncover the truth without tipping him off. As they stepped onto the grounds of Fox Hollow Farm, they had no idea just how many secrets lay buried in the shadows, waiting to be exhumed. As investigators combed through the backyard, the soil began to give up its secrets. Bone fragments, dozens, maybe hundreds, surfaced from shallow graves. Some were charred, others gnawed. Forensics confirmed the unthinkable: these were human remains. And not just one body, but possibly 11 or more. The property had become a burial ground, and Herb Baumeister, its grim caretaker. As remains were recovered, a dark pattern emerged. All the victims were young men, many in their 20s, reported missing from the Indianapolis gay community. Their disappearances had gone largely unnoticed, dismissed by authorities. Now, families who had waited in silence were finally given grim answers. But not all bodies could be identified, and the true death toll remained uncertain. As news of the discovery reached Herb, he didn't return home. Instead, he vanished, taking his red SUV and fleeing Indiana. Police tracked him across state lines, but he stayed one step ahead. Julie and their children were left behind in horror. The man who had hosted backyard barbecues was now a fugitive suspected of serial murder. The hunt had begun, and time was running out. July 1996, Herb Baumeister's body was found in Ontario, Canada. He had taken his own life with a single gunshot near a quiet park. Beside him, a suicide note, vague, avoidant, with no mention of the victims. No confession. No closure. The truth would never be fully spoken, only whispered through the evidence left behind. The killer had silenced himself before justice could speak. Even after Herb's death, Fox Hollow Farm remained shrouded in darkness. Future residents reported strange activity, whispers in empty rooms, doors slamming on their own, and ghostly figures near the pool. Paranormal investigators believe the victims never left. Their spirits linger, trapped in the place their lives were stolen. Fox Hollow Farm wasn't just a crime scene, it became a haunting. The quiet estate of Fox Hollow Farm holds echoes of screams no one heard in time. Victims forgotten by the system, claimed by a killer hiding in plain sight. Though Herb Baumeister silenced himself, the truth refused to die. It lingers in the walls, in the soil, and in the shadows. If this story chilled you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more real tales that haunt the night. This is Only True Horror, where every nightmare is based on a true story.